Last Sunday, we read a version of this Jesus, I guess the right word would be recruiting or gathering his disciples, those who would go with him, those who would learn from him. And we heard that version from John, and John's version is a little different. Today, we're going to read Matthew's version of that early gathering of the disciples, and it's going to be probably the version you've heard more. It's going to be using the language that you're more familiar with. And so before we get into what it means and what happened on that day by the lake shore, let's read it from Matthew together. We're going to be in Matthew chapter 4, and I'm going to start reading at verse 12. And I'd like to invite you, if you have your Bible or find a pew Bible there, please read along with me. But we're going to be in Matthew chapter 4, starting at verse 12. Now, when Jesus heard that John had been arrested, he withdrew to Galilee. He left Nazareth and made his home in Capernaum by the sea, in the territory of Zebulun and Naphtali. Also, so that what had been spoken through the prophet Isaiah might be fulfilled. Land of Zebulun, land of Naphtali, on the road by the sea, across the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. The people who sat in darkness have seen a great light, and for those who sat in the region and the shadow of death, light has dawned. From that time, Jesus began to proclaim, "Repent, for the kingdom of heaven has come near." As he walked by the Sea of Galilee, he saw two brothers, Simon, who was called Peter, and Andrew, his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishermen. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fish for people." Immediately they left their nets and followed him. As he went from there, he saw two other brothers, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, in the boat with their father Zebedee, mending their nets. And he called to them. Immediately they left the boat and their father and followed him. Jesus went throughout Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and proclaiming the good news of the kingdom and curing every disease and every sickness among the people. Amen. Of course, you probably know this verse pretty well. We've certainly done it enough times for Vacation Bible School, but Jesus said in this translation, "I will make you fish for people." We also know it as I'll make you fishers of men. This is, of course, I think, an incredible scene, and a scene that means an awful lot to me. It's that visual image of Jesus walking along the shore and seeing these normal, everyday, common fishermen. Not the religious elite, not students in seminary, but these fishermen in their boats. And all he says to them in our translation here is, "Follow me." Now, we often think of that as they're just going to get out of their boats and just walk along behind him. But in reality, "follow me" here really can be translated as "come with me." And as I told the children, it's not so much about following the leader as it is about traveling with someone, going on a journey with someone. That's what Jesus was inviting them to do. Come and walk with me. Come travel with me. Come to where I'm going. Go with me. That's a whole lot different than just following someone. And we've got this incredible scene. To me, I think there's very few words here. It simply says, Jesus says, "Follow me." It doesn't say the brothers, Simon and Andrew, say anything. It just says they immediately left their nets and followed him. They walk along, they see another boat. This time it's John and James, the son of Zebedee. And Zebedee is in the boat. Their father is there. He says to them, "Follow me." And they don't seem to say anything either, at least not recorded in this book. They just get up, and they don't only just leave their nets. They leave the boat, and they leave their father behind. All to travel and go with Jesus. Well, I believe Jesus standing at the lake shore again today. And he says to all of us, "Follow me." Now, this story to me is, as I said, has a great meaning to me because I had my own lakeshore experience. I had my own moment when I believed that Jesus was standing and calling me. I wasn't in a boat. I wasn't fishing. I was sitting on a riding lawnmower in the back of the end zone right here out here at Hubbard Jagger Field. And I had been wrestling with the idea, as it was anyway, of whether I should leave coaching and teaching and go into the ministry. And I was going back and forth because I was right in the middle of a football season. And so at the time it seemed like, well, I don't know what you're talking about, God, because it seems like I need to be right here. And as I told you this story before, as I waited to hear, as I waited till the end of the JV game, when all we had at the time, Coach Saki, was that riding lawnmower and a little trailer behind it. That's what we picked all the down markers on with. We've got better equipment nowadays, is the reason I say that. But I was waiting till the JV game was over so I could pick those up. Still thinking about it. I thought about it all the time, whether this might be the last season. And from where the old concession stand used to be, off to my left and back, Jesus didn't say, follow me. I heard him say, and I swear it was him. He said, Bob. From that day forward, I knew I would leave my boat, I would leave my nets, and I would follow him. In fact, I brought my version of the nets today. I wasn't fishing, I wasn't mending nets. I brought my whistle. It's my symbol of when Jesus called me and what I would leave behind. The whistle I used to coach kids in Houston at 2 different schools. The whistle I would use at Sentinel High School in Missoula, Montana, and the whistle I would use here at Hubbard High School. I knew this was my net. This is what God was asking me to leave to follow him. That symbol of a decision. That symbol of what we trade for being a disciple. Now, I say all that and you go, well, that's great, Pastor Bob, but I might feel that Jesus is calling me, but it is in no way into full-time ministry. He's not asking me to quit my job. I'm pretty sure of that. And so as I thought about this passage today, what does it mean to all of us? What does it mean to all of us for Jesus to stand on the lakeshore, standing at the prefaces of our jobs, our lives, looking in, and we're so busy doing what we do, all of a sudden from the shore we hear Jesus say, follow me. What symbol are we leaving? What symbol of our lives are we trading for Jesus? And it came to mind this week, one of my favorite praise and worship songs. I can't say it's new anymore. It was new maybe 10 years ago, but it's still one that I really enjoy. Maybe one day we'll learn it. It's kind of catchy. I'm not going to sing it, and I will not do justice to it. But as I thought about what symbol we all might leave, what are we giving up? What nets are we leaving to follow Jesus? I came across this song called from Matt Redman, called I'm Trading My Sorrows. It goes like this. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying it down for the joy of the Lord. I don't know what it is, but sometimes when we say yes to Jesus, what we're leaving behind is pain, is shame, is sickness, is sorrows. It might even be grief. It might even be guilt. It might even be anger. It might be bitterness. For whatever it is, that might be the net that we can leave behind to say yes to following Jesus. It might be the symbol of what we leave behind, what we trade for the joy of the Lord. My question again, what is it in your life? What is the thing that you need to trade for a commitment to Christ? What is it in your daily lives that has become part of your world that you can leave behind, that symbol of commitment? But before you answer that, I thought about this even far further, and I'm I'm not so sure if it's just a matter of giving up something. It's leaving something behind. The trading may not just be a net, a whistle, a boat, grief, and emotion. Because I believe that when we really say yes to Jesus, we're doing something bigger than just giving up our daily routine, something from our lives. I believe, and this is what I believe happened here by the lake shore around the Sea of Galilee, is that when those fishermen said yes to Jesus, and when we say yes to Jesus, we have an opportunity to trade one God for another God. We get to leave the old God of self-interest. Because as I thought about it, my coaching career, that was my God. My winning and losing became my God. I mean, I had a conniption, as my dad used to say, on Tully Stadium's floor because I had a kid line up 3 yards over the 50-yard line on a kickoff. I don't remember who we were playing. But when beating Itasca and Grandview becomes more important than my family, then it's time to choose a different God. It's time to realize that when we say yes to Jesus, we say no to the God we've been following. That God of self-interest. Whatever is in it for me, that's the God we leave behind. Because when we leave those nets, those boats, those whistles, and we choose to follow Jesus, we choose a new God, a God that we call Father. The Father and God of the Israelites, the God of Jesus Christ, the God that loved us so much that He gave us Jesus. We say yes to Him and no to the previous ones. The ones that kept us in the game. The ones that we asked the question of, what's in it for me? The new question is, what's in it for God? That's what it means to follow Jesus. What is it in your life that's keeping you from leaving the boat, from leaving the nets? Is that baggage that we carry, that self-righteous God that we haul around with us, is He really worth holding on to? Or is today the day when we hear Jesus cry, "Follow me"? We get out of that boat. Maybe it's been a boat I've been floating around in for 50 years. And we leave behind the symbol of our old life forever. And we choose to follow Christ. To make a commitment. To make Him our God and not us. Because that's what it means when we choose to follow God. We trade one God, a God that disappoints us on a regular basis, for a God whose promises are true, and whose love is unconditional, and His sacrifice was real. Let us today decide to leave our nets and trade them for the cross, a symbol of real love and the real God. Amen. I'd like to invite us